Hello, Regis High School, and welcome to part 3 of the ongoing saga of filling out the Common Application Regis style. Once again, this is Mr. Fedla's guidance counselor and college advisor. Good to have you with me one more time. Today's topic will be the activities and writing sections of the Common Application. So let's give this a go, shall we? I know this is a section that can throw many of you off, but really it's as simple as telling a story about yourself. Because, guys, that's what activities do for you. Activities are not really an arms race. It's not really a competition with the colleges. It's rare for an activity to be a major factor in college admissions, or leadership for that matter, to be a major factor. If anything, the activities tell what do you do outside of school, how engaged are you the kind of person who just does his homework and goes home, and we don't know how you engage in things from there. I will say this, for many of you who have been affected by COVID, and that would be everybody, keep in mind that everybody realizes that summer of 2020 and even the summer of 2021 was very limited. And remember that in the 2020-2021 school year, there weren't very many extracurricular activities, were there? So, again, look at this. Try not to overthink this section quite so much or worry about it. Just let it tell a story about yourself. Okay, that's enough philosophizing on that topic. So let's get to the nitty-gritty, shall we? Obviously, you're going to have here, do you have any activities that you wish to report? It's required. You don't have to do this, but I think it's a missed opportunity if you don't. You can do up to 10 activities on the Common Application itself. And guys, list them in order of importance to you, not what you think is important to the colleges, because you really can't predict that, nor would I craft your whole application toward what colleges want. Maybe again, that's more philosophy there. Overall, this whole Common Application should be the sort of thing that tells a story about you, and you put it out there and you let the colleges make their judgments, for lack of a better word, from there. Try not to craft this in a way for any one particular college or what you think is important. Okay, once again, enough of that. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. So you have the activity type. Again, it covers just about everything. If it's a sport or team, this is basically what we're talking about here. That'll populate once we get to athletics. Okay. The position or leadership description, sometimes it can just be member. If it's a sports team, what's your position or what do you do exactly? In some cases, it may be vice president or treasurer or something like that. If you don't have a title, it's okay to just say participant, member, something like that. Organization name, okay. The HERN, something like that. That allows you, I used to tell students here, if you were going to put the HERN or Slacks or something, you kind of have to interpret it for the college. Not so much. Although, if it is Slacks, for example, you do have to spell out what the acronym is. I think it's the Spanish Latin American Cultural Society. So you'll have to explain what that is a bit. Here we come to the activity, the description of the activity. You get 150 characters here, and that's about, I think it's about 25, 30 words or so, depending on things. You can just describe it as best you can. You attend weekly meetings. You discuss engineering. If it's the flight club, you can say you do. I think there are some flight simulations in there and stuff like that. If there's any recognition or awards that you might have received, you can include that in here too. What grades did you participate? Postgraduate. Was it during the school year, all year, during the school break? That includes summer. That'd be fine. Hours spent per week. Try not to get too hung up on the number of hours because it doesn't let you decimalize it and doesn't let you do less than 1. So if it's a club that you've only attended a few times, 1 week, 1 hour is perfectly fine to enter. Weeks spent per year, the school year, I believe, is 36 weeks long. So if it's the whole school year, like the HERN is basically a year-round thing. Yeah, it ends kind of in April, but if you put 30 weeks, that would be perfectly okay. Guys, don't get too hung up on this. And if it's a a 1 or 2 week thing, or you're a request leader, talk to Mr. Lucero or Mr. Ortiz about how much time was spent doing that. If you've been a quest leader, for example, you had to spend some time prepping for it and going to meetings. So certainly you can include that. It doesn't just have to be 1 week per year. And yeah, it seems funny. I used to make fun of students who would say, I went on quest, and so they went on a week-long retreat, and they put 168 hours a week that they were doing it while they were sleeping. I think the message basically there is just, you were doing something for the entire week. You can estimate this, and it's fine. Please don't get hung up on this or halt your whole application because of it. Do you intend to participate in similar activity? Sure. Okay, let's say you're a hockey player. Okay, we don't have hockey. I just use that for fun. Okay, but let's say you're a hockey player and you're on your way to the University of Michigan, which has a world-class hockey program. Well, it's not like you're planning to play on the hockey team. You'd have to be kind of NHL level to do that. But hey, maybe you'll participate in intramurals or in a club team or something like that. It's okay to put that here. Okay. A little bit more here. Here's the club, captains, things like that. I just put in a funny little description in here. There you go. Okay, here's an additional one. Career intern, career-oriented. You're an intern at Goldman Sachs. Hey, how about that? I just put this in here to show you how many words fit in this box. Okay? So, you see this button too. You can move it up, make it more important, and that's kind of telling you how you can move things up and down based on your interest in the thing. Okay? Now, what happens if you run out of space here, or you have more to say? Or what happens if you run out of activities and you need more than this, more than 10? Well, first of all, guys, the message is the colleges really don't want to read more than this. They're saying this is more than sufficient for you to describe your activity, and that 10 activities are perfectly fine. Beyond that, it takes a little bit too long to read. By the way, check with your moderators on some of these things to make sure that they are accurate. You might have assumed that you were a captain, but don't put that down there if you weren't given that title. But once again, what do you do if you ran out of space here? Well, that's what the next section is for, or part of what the next section is for. You can add it to the additional information section. Okay, but once we've done this to our satisfaction, we're going to hit continue. And it pops you right into the writing section. Now, here's the thing that you've all been working on with your English teachers and with me. This is where the prompts are, and again, the same prompts that we gave you for the assignment are what are appearing here. This has not changed and will not change for your cycle of admission. Think about the prompts and see if you want to use one, but of course, for my students, I often said, hey, if you can't squeeze it into one of these, the last one's perfectly okay. But these kind of give you an idea of what you want to write about. Okay. Now, here's the box. Okay. You can cut and paste from your Word document and put it right in here. I think that's what most students do. Look, here's the limit. Okay, you have to, it's a minimum of 250 and a max of 650. And it is strict, guys. They will not let you put more than 650 words in here. And believe me, with my dummy text in here, a nod to Mr. Bonagora out there for Latin, I've tried to do more than 650 and it doesn't work. See, I'm at the limit right there. Also, proofread, gentlemen. Absolutely proofread. Don't go through this thinking that your spell check is going to fix it. And if you've made a mistake, you send your document in, you're not going to be able to change it. Yes, you can change this, by the way, from college to college, but that's not really the purpose of this. That's not what the prompt is. Why am I good for this particular college? Really, one personal statement should be perfectly fine. Keep in mind, too, that it's here that you can add bold, italics, underlining, stuff like that, because it may not transfer over when you cut and paste it. Here's a little button to add something from Google Drive. I haven't used that. I basically just cut and paste it. So, gentlemen, you all have a personal statement out there. Sure, they need work, but that's okay. Drop whatever you have right here in this section. That'll help you have a full draft of things, and you can always go back and change it. And when we come back in September, I'd like you to drop whatever you have in here, not just dummy text, so that you can print out a full draft, the full Common Application. And once you've done that, you've got a full draft, and if you needed to send it in tomorrow, you could. Please don't, but you have a full Common App once you're done with this section. Let's hit continue. It's going to send you to the additional information. Remember what I said about adding information about your activities and things like that? Here's the section for that. Now, this section is a lot more factual than the personal essay. What does additional information mean? Think of it in the technical terms, the definition of that statement. Additional information. Info. It's going to be factual. Is there anything that didn't fit in these prompts over here? Do you have something more to say about family? Maybe you have a unique family situation. Maybe you had something happen with your education or with testing, or maybe you have more to say about your activities. This is the place for that. Now, for the last 2 cycles of admissions, they've included this, I call it the COVID-19 statement. I think you should all fill this out because you all did have some kind of interruption. Now, maybe right off the bat, hey, you were remote for almost a full year, well, about 6 months. Some of you did hybrid, some of you didn't. We do cover this in the school report, but I do recommend that you all write something in here and you keep it factual. My school went remote on March 16th, 2020. We returned December of 2020, and at which point we went hybrid. Every other week I went to school in person. The rest of the time I had Zoom classes, or some of you were remote the whole time, or some of you didn't participate in activities because of that. Keep it factual. Okay. I do think you should all fill something out in this section because you were all affected by it. Here's the next statement. Do you wish to provide details of circumstances or qualifications not reflected in the application? Hey, that's a pretty factual statement, isn't it? And here's the space to provide any additional information. This is not for an additional personal statement. It's not an opportunity to excuse anything. Some students say, well, I want to explain why my grades weren't as strong in sophomore year, just so colleges know that. I wouldn't do that. However, if there was something that happened to you, you got sick during that sophomore year, or you had to change classes, or COVID affected you in a particular way, although that's really the top part of this, or you want to explain a little bit more about an extracurricular and you ran out of space, or you wrote an article in a newspaper and you'd like to provide the colleges with a link to it, or you've done some research and you want to include a link to your abstract. Hey, this is the spot for that. You can't include, because then again, look, the limit here is 650 words. You can't include everything on here, but you can tell colleges, if you'd like to see this, here's the link for it. Or, hey, I've been on the speech and debate team for all 4 years. Here are some of the awards that I've won during that time. Or for track and field, or for art, or something like that. This is the place to do that. I had a student once send the colleges his short story. I called it a novella because it was about 100 pages long. And he sent that in a file to all of his colleges. Believe me, I got a confused phone call from one of my colleagues at the college, as if to say, what the heck is this monstrous document? Nowadays, I would tell that student, put it somewhere on a Google Drive or some link somewhere, and put the link in here. That'll help. This is meant, again, to be factual. Try not to do too much emotion. You don't need to do show, don't tell in this box. It's really just telling colleges this didn't fit in the rest of my application, or I need to explain something that to you might not make a lot of sense. Happy to talk about this section right here if you have questions on it. And once you've done that, you hit continue, you're pretty much done. We'll do this courses and grades thing in the fall. It needs a little bit more explanation. And the next thing coming up will be waiving your FERPA rights, how to set up recommendations for your teachers. Please don't act on any of that stuff right now. And how to preview and submit your application. So that's the third in our series. And other than that, thanks for watching, and have a great summer.